I swear I'm here. Ah! I think I was supposed to be right here, I think. Hi! I'm here. Hello. My water took a long time to boil. So I do have my tea. Today it is blueberry sage. The box says it's for stress relief because, you know. No, I'm first. Okay. Yeah. I had a cup of tea already. I had Rubio's chai first, and then this is my second cup of tea today. That's good. I'm hydrated already. I'm starting stream already hydrated. You need one for no, I'm first. First. I already have 2 first redeems. Okay. I forgot I can't use my mouse for this game. Ugh. So let's go. I don't remember what we were doing last time. I know I left something for today me to take care of. I think I ended stream like, this is a problem for tomorrow, Ellie. And now it's tomorrow, Ellie, and Ellie doesn't remember what to do. I think the hat asked if I was ready to proceed. And then I was like, nah. And then I think it said to talk to Rubrum? I think. So we're gonna do that. And he's right there. Hello. Are you going to the peak now? We're supposed to get like the moon thingy. Yes. Let's go now. Great, they're stuck to the tree as expected. Wow, there are tons of shining butterflies. We're going to make them all go away now, right? I feel so bad for them all of a sudden. It's for the tree's sake. Hurry up and throw the potion. Uh-oh. Okay, here goes. Ugh. That should make sunlight. Okay. Ah, my eyes. It turns pink. Wow, it's beautiful. Where are those butterflies going? Wouldn't they go back to where they came from? But the flower got blasted like Kaiba. Over there, over there. Over where? Oh my god, there's so many. Take them all. It's so beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. Now we just need to collect some moonflower and make moon oil. Ribram, can you go to the prickly vines and wait for us there? We'll come as soon as the potion is ready. Oh, okay. I'll be waiting in front of the vines. You don't want to help me? Oh, the music got really loud. Alright. Can I write this into my journal? How do I... Can I write it into my journal first? No. I can only get 2. Pretty. It is! Alright, let's go to the dispensary now. I should make moon oil. Like reminding me what I need to do. Oh, but it's doing it for me anyway. Ellie, I hope you haven't forgotten. For moon oil, you need phoenix feather. There's no way we can find a phoenix around here. Oh, my ticket! We have a phoenix feather right here. You told me all about it earlier. What? Oh. That's not a good idea. Music, can you chill? Should I lower it? Is this better? Is this a little bit... Oh, it's done. If we do that, we will not be able to get back on the train. That means you will not make it to Hylian. A witch is always ready to help people, starting from those around her. That again? Music needs us to know Ellie Epic. Okay. Well, of course. You just don't like the witch's house. The witch's house in Hylian. That's true. Stop being childish, you're going to regret it later. No, Virgil. What I will regret is not doing this right now. I'm sure of it. You have to be smart about this. Oh, there it goes. No more ticket. We're staying here. Phoenix feather powder. Powder made from burning phoenix feathers. It sparkles bright red due to heat and magic. I don't know if you can burn phoenix feathers, but okay. Great. I have all the ingredients now. You're worse than Arya sometimes. Is that my mom's name? Oh please, I'm nowhere near as good as my mother. It is! That wasn't a compliment. Alright, now let's make moon oil. Tab. I feel like I should be exploring the map more. But then again, they'll probably show it to me. Right? This one? Hold to process. Jeebus. What if I mess this one up, right? What if I'm like, oops. Okay, let's see. Moon oil? Okay. Potion that emits strong moonlight. It contains the power of the moon. It's expensive due to the rare ingredients required to make it. I left behind so many of those flowers. Yes. Okay. One of this. And then very low heat. Ooh, ooh. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. And then this. And then stir in this direction. Right. That's so easy to make though. Super rare but super easy to make. I just messed up in the heat. Woohoo! The moon oil is ready. Let's go get rid of the prickly vines now. Blah. This is such a cute game. Oh, we're doing this in the middle of the night. Okay, I'm here. Now let's hurry up and get rid of the annoying vines. Huh? You won't suffer any loss because of me, will you? Don't worry about that. I'm the one who decided to do it. It's what I really wanted to do. And this is my choice. Where did the other one go? I forgot her name already. Thanks. It's no big deal. You can come to the witch's house anytime you want. Are you going to stay here? Yeah, I think I'll stay here throughout my apprenticeship. Really? Really? Really. Let's spend more time together, Rubram. Okay. Oh my goodness, a friend. Hurry up and go home for now. Your granny must be worried. I'll find you later. So it's nighttime. Wouldn't the moon be out? You know? I'll see you in a bit. Yeah. Quit acting like a saint. This place seems fun to you, that's all. Virgil, try not to say stuff that makes me sound like a bad guy, will you? It's a happy ending for all I have. It's a happy ending for all if I have fun and they're happy, isn't it? Will the professors get angry? Like mother, like daughter. That's what they'll say. Well, that's great. It's not a compliment. Alright, let's head to the village now. I need, what is it called? The handle. Where did this person go? They couldn't give me a ride? What's this? I feel like I should write stuff down. And time's not progressing. I may as well take advantage. Right? Hey. No? Nothing to write? No? I want to write stuff into my journal. Ah, opening the bud with body slams. What's this way? I think this is the mine. Yeah, there wasn't anything here. Wah. I feel like this glowing shrub should be something. Oh, it's different from this one, isn't it? The other one had like something in the middle of it. I don't know why, this is making me want to play Minecraft. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to all the wrong places, but it's okay. Did they make the stuff go away everywhere? I can still write stuff. See? It was worth it, modded Minecraft. Yeah. Can I write you in my journal, please? Stop moving! What is it? Oh, 2? Nice. Isn't there another thing I could do? This one, did I finish that one already? When's the last time you played Minecraft, Jaku? This one. Please. It won't let me. Let's focus. Okay. I guess I can focus now. I got 2. I got the bird and the butterfly. I'm just curious, like, what else did I miss? I swear. Did I get all the... Not that. It's J Atlas. How do I... What is that symbol for moving the map? Okay. It's been a hot minute. Yeah. I feel like... I don't know. I've been wanting to play it, but then I'm like... If I do... What do I do? I know it's like the point. But like... What do I do? Do I want to build something? It's funner with friends, isn't it? Oh, I guess I got everything then. There was only this map, the one north of it. There's only 2 maps that I've passed by, right? I guess it's only because I haven't unlocked the other maps. Then go this way. It's time to progress the story. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Can I not draw you? Guess not. Okie dokie. I'm excited to taste this tea. I haven't tasted it yet. We are in the village at last. Yeah, it's a village. What kind of village would it be? I hope a lot of fun things happen here. I'm not sure about the fun things, but we apparently have some trouble. Uh-oh. This is the life I've always dreamed about. Let's hurry up and go. What trouble? Oh. It's quite a dull sight. Virgil, this is the village you're going to spend 3 years in. You like it? Do you feel like going back to Highline again? I think we'll get more EXP here. What the heck happened here? What are all these prickly vines doing here? I'm so excited. Don't even know how to comment. And something seems strange. Everyone would find it a strange sight. Why do these prickly vines grow only on houses? No, that's not what I meant. It feels like I've been here before for some reason. Is that some sort of cliche and meaningless foreshadowing? Virgil? Stop breaking the fourth wall. One sec. Oh, it's still too hot. Blah, blah, blah. There's no way you've ever been here. They don't come this far for the witch school picnic. But something feels familiar, really. Let's find Rubrum first. I want to explore first. Nothing but ruins here as well. Their streetlights are just the little candles. Chippus. Look at this house. The decoration looks gorgeous. What happened to the people who lived here? Wouldn't they have run away while the prickly vines were growing? I hope that was the case. There's like stairs this way too. Which leads to nothing! This'll be something later. I have to chase somebody here, maybe. Okay. A house. Oh, it moves. Let's focus on what we're doing now. Got it. Fine. Aw. Rubrum! Oh, Ellie! Thanks for helping me get home. It's nothing special, but it really looks like no one is in the village. Yes, many of them left after the prickly vines started growing like mad. Now we only have Ardens in my house. I see, you must be bored. No, it's okay because Granny and Arden are here. There are lots of fun things to do in the forest. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Granny wants to meet you. Granny? Yes, she's the village chief. She was actually the village chief? Oh no. Not is. She used to be. You can find her in the back. Okay, I'll go. Is she the village chief? Because she's the only one here? I'll go there. I'll go there soon. I'm just very curious what's this way. It looks like it would be very pretty. Oh, hopscotch. Oh, is that Granny? A waterfall. Oh. Okay, let's focus on what we're doing now. Fine. I feel like this is gonna take me a while. Should I do this next week too, or Death Stranding? I want to finish something. Neat. Welcome, Miss Witch. Oh, she's so cute! Look at her! Oh my goodness! I feel like Miso would love this NPC. You've done a great job with helping my grandchild, thank you. No, I'm the one who received help. Please relax, it will be fine. I'm Ellie, an apprentice witch. Many witches don't look their age. Alright, I shall save the formality. Welcome to Wisteria, Ellie. I'm... How do you say your name? Enid? Enite? Enite? Chief of this village. Both the village... Oh, look at her face. Both the village chief and the village are in bad shape, though. What happened in this village? What are all those prickly vines? Have you taken a look around the village? Yes, I saw the houses covered with prickly vines. They didn't look like ordinary prickly vines. It happened 3 years ago. Those prickly vines started to grow all of a sudden and destroyed the houses one by one. Why did the prickly vines started growing all of a sudden? Actually, these are not the first prickly vines growing in the village. The village used to have white prickly vines growing at its entrance. But the prickly vines that appeared 3 years ago look completely foreign to us. At first, they were saying things like God's punishment, monster, or witch's curse. Wipe off your drool, Ellie. It's a serious story. There were lots of rumors, but no one actually knew why. They started growing all of a sudden without any explanation. What happened to the villagers? Nobody was hurt. I know that prickly vines grow fast, but they aren't supposed to be fast enough to hurt anyone. People had no place to live and could only leave the village. Now only Arden and I remain in the village. Don't worry now, I'll help you. I'll remove the prickly vines and bring the villagers back. Thank you so much for saying that. But it's too late now. What? All the houses have been ruined already, and everyone has left. Instead of a village, the current wisteria is more like some ruins housing 2 seniors reluctant to leave. You should also leave now. It's better to go to the place you were originally planning to go. But I'm not forcing you. You can stay in the village for as long as you want. Leave when the train comes. This place is not a village anymore. That can't happen. Highline is boring as hell. Cursed! Virgil, language! Oh my goodness. We're literally the same. Ellie. The villagers are all gone. Even if the prickly vines are removed, what's the meaning? This is still a village. Villagers will be willing to come back. Even if the prickly vines disappear, why would they come back to a remote village like this? Everyone would want to come back. But Ellie, people left and time has passed. I don't think those driven out by the prickly vines will ever want to come back to these ruins. No, they would definitely want to come back. It's a wonderful village that you have been developing all your life. I won't let these weird prickly vines take over the village. Yeah, you're right, but let's call it a day and continue tomorrow. You look tired too. Rubrum looks like he needs a rest as well. Okay, don't be too hard on Rubrum. Did his parents not take him? They were just like, these vines are destroying the village. Run away. Let's leave our grandmother and our child. And save ourselves. Huh? You too. I don't understand. Let's talk to... Oi. Hello. Huh? Let's be friends. Replay the previous story? No. What? No. Oh, he doesn't have anything. End dialogue. Goodbye. Can I have... I'll think about it. Let's talk again tomorrow. Okay. Can I go in here? I can't go in. Can't go in. People live here. Alright. Okay, I guess I can't do anything. Is this where Arden lives? It looks like a food place? See a lot of radishes. What if... Aren't they sheep? Why can't they just eat the vines? What are you trying to do? Enid is right. It requires a lot of imagination to call this place a village. Says who? It's still a village even if there are no houses. Fine. But it's by no means a village if there are not even people. The people will come back. How can you be so sure? This is your first time in this village. If you're just being ridiculous. No, I definitely heard their mind. The villagers want to come back. Where did you hear it? You haven't met any of them. That? I don't know. Maybe I heard it in a dream. So you're being ridiculous. No. You are. No, it isn't. It's the village that Enid has lived in for all her life. Other people must be as fond of it as she does. This English. You know, you also just met Enid for the first time. I can tell if we met for the first time. My heart was beating so fast. Who would fix the houses even if the prickly vines are removed? There are only 2 seniors, 1 child in the village. You're right, Virgil. Correct. We also need a carpenter to fix the houses. Anyway, the first villager returning has to be a carpenter. Okay, find a carpenter capable of flying then. And they probably need 6 arms. Stop being sarcastic, Virgil, okay? Have some sleep. You'll find such a carpenter in your dream. Oh my god! Stop being sarcastic. Can I be a proof editor? Writer? Can I be on the localization team? I'll English this for you. I'm kidding. It's still 8 p.m. We had that whole conversation. Oh. Ta-da! See, is this different? It's witch flower. But it's like... I swear it's different. Dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. There's rankings for body slamming those things. I guess it's EP time. I am out of energy, so may as well. I need that carpenter to fix my floor ASAP. Am I in the way? Am I too big? Should I be smaller? Should I move myself? Did you meet the flying carpenter? I don't know. It seems like I did have a dream, but I don't remember anything. Are you nervous or something? Since this is your first day as an apprentice witch? Of course not. So, are you ready to start your first day as an apprentice witch? Of course. Do you know what to do? Let me ask what Enid thinks first. Although she will naturally approve, I shall wait until I actually hear it. We'll check out the carpenter's house and try to get rid of the prickly vines. Remember that we don't have any phoenix feather left. It will work out somehow. Let's go find a phoenix. Beginning of an apprentice witch. Start your life. I got an achievement. Okay. I feel like I have a lot of side quests that I didn't do. Hello, Diane. Oh my goodness, you're adorable. Look. You sometimes block the dialogue, but do I block the other character? Is this okay? A little more? This much? But you read it anyway, so it doesn't matter that much? That's what I figured, because I don't want to block the art because it's so cute. I don't want you guys to see it. I could be over here, but then I'd block chat. I don't wanna move that. I'll stay right. But if I... This me. I don't know. I wish I had like a floating thingy. I'll just read it, you know? I read. If I had... I think there's like a filter that can pixelate me. I'm gonna play with that after stream and see if I can be pixelated next stream. This is the witch's catalog that gives you the most inexpensive products at best prices. This is Diane Greenwind, who brings happiness. Nice to meet you. Yes, hello, I'm Ellie, an apprentice witch. Nice to meet you, Ellie. Should I introduce myself like that from now on? Hi, hello, I'm Ellie. Oh no, what am I? Just a girl. Ellie Reed. Do I need to add an emote? What would that even look like? Just a book? What I must help you with today is... Oh, you're registering for the first time. Yes, that's right. It must have been inconvenient for you to not be able to use the witch's catalog. Just a minute. Okay, thank you for waiting. So, I need to see the Master Witch before you register. Is she inside? The Master Witch? Yes, I need the Master Witch's signature to register you on the witch's catalog. Oh, that's... I'm... Hey, Ellie. Huh? Fooling around while I'm out? You didn't forget to register on the witch's catalog, did you? Oh no, I didn't forget. Of course not. Oh, I guess the Master Witch is away now. Are you talking through that hat? Yes. Stay quiet, Ellie, you unfinished dumb hat of a little rascal. Why can't you even do such a little thing properly? I told you to tell me when the witch's catalog employee came. I'm sorry, I was just about to tell you. Oh, okay. Then, I guess Ellie can just sign instead because the Master Witch is here. You'll also receive a gift if you join now. A gift? What is it? A witch's broom that makes your a broom! Much easier. A witch's broom, finally! You can just sign here and here. Okay, just a minute. Yes, that's it. Then I'll explain how to use the witch's catalog. Would you like to hear it? Yeah. Listen to the explanation. Yes, please explain. Every morning, a witch's catalog employee will come. In this case, it will be me. I'm planning to be here from 8 AM to 6 PM. You can just purchase the items you need from me during that time. We do not accept gold coins and only accept Luna coins. I have 6 of those. What is that thing called? Luna coin. Luna coin is the currency used in Witch Society. It is called Luna coin because it is made of an ore with the power of the moon. Don't you already know that since you were also raised in a Witch Society, Ellie? I think I learned it in school. It's just that I don't think I called money something else in my life. After all, only Luna coins are used in the Witch Society. But how do I earn Luna coins? I guess you don't have enough Luna coins. She said you're broke. She's like, I guess you're broke. What? Basically, yes. That's exactly why the Witch Administration is running a candy purchasing service. Please, let me know anytime, since we purchase regardless of the type. Sell candy? You can sell candies to the merchants. Merchants purchase different items and use different currencies. You can sell using the shop keyword in dialogue. Okay. A broke witch? Hi, I'm Ellie, a broke witch. Alright, got it. So, do you have any more questions? No. Not anymore. Alright, then feel free to talk to me if you need anything. Yes, go ahead. The gift. Right, I'll give it to you now. A broom! It's old! A broom given is a freebie. It's old, but still useful. Wow! I'll take it. Finally, my own broom! Control, you can move faster if you ride a witch's broom. Have a nice day. This has been Diane Greenwind of the Witch's Catalog. Do you think it went well? Yes, it looks like the urgent fire is out. How is my acting skill? You? I'm the one who did the acting. All you did was stutter. The stuttering was all an act. This might become a problem later on. I told you I'm good at acting. No, not your poor acting skill, but the fact that you lack a Master Witch. The Master Witch must be at the witch's house. We can't just have an apprentice witch. Can't you just keep acting? How long will it work? And there's still the matter of the witch who was originally here at this witch's house. It would be nice if we know who that witch is. Let's ask the villagers later on. I mean, they... yeah. The witch who was originally here could also be someone with malice. Oh. Let me mount my broom and go sell potions right away. You need to get to Enid. I need money! But there's no need for urgency. Tell me about yourself, Diane. Diane? She's sleeping. Diane! This is the witch's catalog that gives you the most inexpensive products of the best quality. This is Diane, to bring you happiness. Oh, it's you, Ellie. Welcome. I'm sorry, that was unprofessional of me. Did something happen? I'm not sure if it's okay to tell you this, since we've just met. What is it? Maybe I can help. Did you know that you can also sell potions in the witch's catalog? Oh, really? Some witches also sell potions in the witch's catalog. The witch administration sometimes collects the sold potions and uses them later. I was planning to use the potions I had saved for the event this time as well, but recently there have been frequent complaints about bad potions. Since it's an event organized by the administration, mistakes must be avoided. Trust in the witch's catalog's potion quality. Trust in the witch's catalog's potion quality. Trust in the administration. As a result, the administration issued a notice to each catalog salesperson to test the suspicious potions. The problem is, the potions they obtained are related to the matter. As you know, Ellie, potion quality is also a matter of a witch's confidence. You can't do it yourself, Diane? I need a witch to accompany me in the test for certification. If it's alright, may I ask for your help? I've prepared a small reward. Some Nubicula cupcakes. My mom will buy one for me at the end of the week if I've been good for a whole week. So naturally, I hardly had any so far. Alright, I'll help. Thank you. Please take this first. Nutrition potion. A potion that temporarily supplies a large amount of nutrients to a plant. It's usually used as an emergency measure on dying plants. And a bird cage? To test as quickly as possible, I also caught a sprout bird. Just throw the nutrition potion I gave you to the sprout bird. It's for plants. When the results appear, please gather them and take a close look. Oh, it has a plant on its head, doesn't it? Then I'll record the details like the date, weather, time, wind direction, etc, etc. Also, please let me know if you make a bad throw. It feels very formal. E. Aim. That was so quick. You can view information about potion usage in the encyclopedia. Okay. One, two, three. So many bird. That's how you get bird flowers. Moderate temperature, mild wind, and low humidity. Great. Fortunately, the potions here seem normal. It went well, right? Yes. You can relax a bit now, as at least one of them is normal. This is just one of them. The rest of them are actually really bad. This is the reward I promised you, a Nubicula cupcake. Huh? I requested this as a test this time, but I hope you've realized that using potions to collect makes things much easier. There's a saying that the witch's house, which supplies the most potions every year, also consumes the most. Tips about using potions can be found in the encyclopedia. Yay! Yoink! This makes something, right? Hello, I just wanted to talk to you. My goal is to get off work on time. Personal stories. I'm Diane Greenwind. I'm currently working for the Witch's Catalog Department of the Witch Administration. What does the Witch Administration do? We manage and distribute the finances and produce of the Witch Society. The management of witches' houses and witches' catalog is also an important task of the witch administration. Wow, that's impressive. It is, isn't it? The witch administration is the department that employs the largest number of witches, and it's the only building where indoor flights are allowed. Car, please hush. Wow. Being able to ride a broom inside a building really sounds fun. Not when a flying encyclopedia knocks you out while you're blinded by the peanut butter from a flying sandwich that lands on your face. Oh. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Look at her face. Sounds like there's a lot of stuff flying. Be wary of the flying encyclopedia. This is what we all say all the time. It's very heavy, and don't let your guard down even if you evade the first, because the second and third might be on the way. Speaking of it, I've always been evading encyclopedias. Do books fly around at the school for witches too? No, I just don't like reading. I love reading. Diane and Ellie seem to have gotten much closer after the chat. Yay, a friend! Okay, one chit chat. What would you like to discuss? This one. The place is bustling with witches no matter what time of day. Oh, I can't. You guys didn't see the choice I made. It was Lucerne or two. With witches no matter what time of day. Especially in the administration department, it's always crowded. I'd rather not talk about it. Diana and Ellie seem to... Okay. That was really quick. Quest? Okay. So... She leaves at... 6? Aria. Hello, Ellie. I'm writing to tell you something that might make your life in the witch's house a little easier. By now, your adventures must have filled your packs with odds and ends you don't really need. From now on, you can place them into the gold coin pouch trading chest beside my shop. Deposit 10 spare collected items or materials, and you'll receive a pouch of coin in return. I hope this proves useful to you. So that's how you sell. Gold coin trading chest. Gold coin pouch trading chest. Basically, it's those places where you exchange unneeded stuff for pouches of gold coins. You can finally put whatever is rotting in your backpack to good use. Indeed, I can take the opportunity to organize my backpack and storage and even make some money at the same time. Aiden would have burst into tears if he heard the word organized coming out of your mouth. Listen. Should I make potions then? I have to go talk to... But I want to make money! Oh, wait. How do I do this where I can make multiple? Weed extermination potion. I don't need that. But like how do I make multiple? Oh, I don't have the recipe for a nutrition potion. This is all I can make for now. Sleepy candy. Sigh candy. Eat it and let out a long sigh. Your worries will go away and you'll suddenly feel much more relaxed. Is that for energy? Key night. What is that? Maybe I'll just make this. 4? You need 4 to make 1? What else can I make? How do I process all? Take Ellie. I need to know how I can make multiple. there's no button for the process all. I'm pressing buttons. How do I... What other buttons is there to press? Jaku, if you're available, would you mind Googling this for me? I'll check. Thank you. Love you, mama. You're the apprentice's apprentice. Use? Okay, what can I make? Oh my god. Bug-proof candy? Psy candy, healing candy. Guess I'll make one Psy just because I haven't made one yet. Okay. One of this. Heat to 3. Maple herb. And then clockwise. It's gonna be perfect, trust. Yay! 100! One more. Let's do... healing candy? I wish I could make more than one. Oh, I need more of this. Whatever that is. Whatever that plant is. 8 to 4. Oh my god, I can't see. Oh, I messed up a little bit. I wasn't looking at that. Crafting score reaches 70. Listen, 96 is still good. Let me put away some of these because I don't need it on me. My broom! I'm gonna keep the food on me though. Should I put away my ingredients too? That's cute. Oh. Identical. You need to upgrade your stuff to do multiple at once. Oh, I see, I see. Got it. Got it. I'll put away my ingredients then at least so I have space. What is this for? Just food? Okay. Time to go. Like the extractor in the cauldron. I see. I only see durability. Craft all 1. Oh, maybe it goes up like as it upgrades, right? And this one. Whoops. I don't see it. But okay. I see, thank you. Everybody, hydrate. Okay. Let's save. And then... I'm gonna write it to my journal again. Oh my god, it's already 9! Night. I really need a... what is it called? A net? Ooh, what's Giant branch? Okay. Oh my god, a little one. Oh, it gave me two. What are these? I need the plants actually, the ones on the cliff. I need that one more. Where did Aria go? So, the merchant's name, the peddler's name is Aria, and my mom's name is Aria. I don't know if they thought this through. Granny! Investigate. There's nothing here right now. Is that the bulletin board? Granny! Begin apprenticeship. Hello! Hello, did you sleep well? I thought about it yesterday, but I'm still not sure. The villagers. Yeah, you mean they would want to come back, right? I don't know why you're more confident than me when I lived my whole life in this village. Even so, I decided to believe in that happy vision. Really? If you get rid of the prickly vines, I'll contact the previous resident of that house. But if that resident refuses, don't worry, because it won't happen. Confidence. You just gotta be delusional enough, you know? Ellie, you are so nice. Everything will be fine. Do not worry. Yeah, I guess so. So, who should we get first? There was a carpenter in the village. Or was there a carpenter in the village? To fix houses, I think the first person we need is a carpenter. Of course. The house at the upper left side from the central fountain of the village belongs to Kyla, who's a carpenter. Then it would be better to remove the prickly vines from Kyla's house first. Let's do it this way. If you get rid of the prickly vines, I'll contact Kyla. Those look more like stones. Shouldn't we get a mason? Leave it to me. I'm counting on you. Oh right, take this with you. It's the village map. A map? Thank you very much. Alright, let's get this started. Keep in mind that we don't have information, nor do we have any phoenix feather. The first thing to do is collect information. Let's look around Kyla's house once and collect information. Oh my god. Let's think about the phoenix feather later. Seriously? Well? Wouldn't they have already punched my ticket? Investigate. This must be the house of Kyla. It's in the same condition as the other houses. If you don't get rid of the prickly vines, there's no point in rebuilding the house. Now that we know the location, let's ask other villagers. Prickly vines of the village. They say that the prickly vines in the village aren't white prickly vines. I should gather information to find out what kind of vines they are. Okay. Is Arden around? Oh! Hello. Welcome. It's been a while. I suppose it hasn't been that long. Is that so? Perhaps it's been a while since I last came here. Did you remove them, the prickly vines? Yes, it's nothing special. Is that so? You're humble. But you did really well. This village has been really gloomy for the past few years. I'm surprised she still comes by. I'm just getting started. That's a big start, because the disappeared hope is reviving. But never give up on this village. Don't worry, I'll never give it up, no matter what happens. You sound reliable. By the way, did you happen to bring the thing you promised last time? Of course. You mean Yacon melon, don't you? No. You promised the roaster handle for the roaster. I'm kidding, of course, I brought it. But since that guy broke his leg, I don't think I can bring proper products for a while. Oh really? I feel so... Who broke his leg? Thank you for your concern, but don't worry, it will get better soon. That guy? Bird? The things on sale would be trivial things. Instead, I have a good offer for both of us. Do you want to hear it? Sure. What is it? As you can see, Wisteria is not the best place to shop. I'll make it better soon. Yeah, but I didn't mean it that way. However, there is a good witch here, and I want to use that to our advantage. Is there such a witch here? That's what I'm saying. I can't even see one from up here. I'm positive I have an eye for both people and things. So Ellie, I want to entrust you with some work. What do you think? Naturally, you'll also receive proper wages, since good things deserve good prices. Really? You mean me? Really? You mean her? Yeah. The work will usually be potion crafting or life form gathering. How does that sound? Of course. I like it. Naturally. I'll also look at the quality of products properly. After all, only good products can fetch good prices. Listen carefully, Ellie. It means bad prices for bad products. Just like the talking hat said, therefore, it's Virgil. A hat that deserves a bad price, I suppose. I'm counting on you then, Ellie and Virgil. Okay, we'll work hard. Since I'm not a witch, I only want candies, edible for even non-witches. I'm always purchasing all kinds of candies. Come to me whenever you want. Yeah, okay. Do you need anything? Do you have a personal story? My love, my beautiful love. I look for you in the morning sun broken by the waves. Oh, my love, my dazzling love. What kind of song is it? Oh, I thought it was a poem. It's a song that sailors sing. When I sing, it's nice to feel like I'm back in those days. My love, my beautiful love. I look at you between the sails blown up by the breeze. Oh, my love, my warm love. Arya and Ellie seem to have gotten much closer after the chat. She sang to me! Do you need anything? Chit chat. So the options are ice strawberries, Arden soup, and the curse. I'm curious about the soup, but also the curse. The soup. Have you tried the soup that Arden has made? Ask him to remove the pepper next time. Arden wouldn't like it, but quite a wonderful soup will come out. Got it. Quest? Enjoy your free time. Chop? Did they make any candies? Acai candy. Oh, she only gives me gold. Never mind. Can I buy something? A secondary bag compartment used to increase... What else do you have? Books? Roaster handle. I'm broke! Well, we have the handle and more inventory space. Do I have to use it? Yes. Hey, do you have more? Oh, it's 400 now. Oh. Investigate. Try exchanging items with the gold coin pouch. Oh, it needs 10? I'm good. I'm good. Is that Arden? Hello? Wait. Did Arya know anything about the prickly vines of the village? Well, I'm not familiar with that story. Do you need anything? Oh, okay. Never mind. Look. Oh my gosh, today is Overwatch Season 19 or 18 release day. And I'm like, my wallet is quivering. My wallet is quivering. There's a lot of cool new skins and I want to play it. You're a witch. Oh my god, look at him. He's blowing smoke through his nostrils. Yes, I'm Ellie, an apprentice witch. Hello. I'm Arden, a dragon and a cook. You help Rubrum. You're pretty kind. Don't mention it. Are you going to stay here for a while? I think so. Why are you staring at me like that? Ah, I'm sorry. It's my first time seeing a dragon with my own eyes. Makes sense. Normally you wouldn't see one. Even Mom said that she seldom met a dragon. That's why I wasn't sure, but you're a real dragon. I never thought I would meet a chef dragon in a place like this. Since dragons have no reason to mingle with humans, I think I was like that too. I can't tell you the reason, even if you look at me with those eyes, because I don't remember myself. Tell me if you're hungry. Although it's not for free. Okay, sure. This is for helping Rubrum. This one's free, take it. Normal beef bread. Piping hot bread made by Arden. The crunchy bread holds juicy beef and vegetables inside. I'm hungry. Ooh, Ven made stew yesterday. It was really good. I don't remember what it's called, but it was like French something. Thank you, I'll enjoy it. It's the last one remaining. Hey you, did you promise to get rid of these prickly vines? Yes, that's right. Okay. But will you be able to do it? Of course. I'll bring the village back to its former appearance. That's some confidence. Sure. What's going on? Personal story. I'm a dragon. Right. I'm also a cook. I wouldn't have known if he didn't tell me. Then, what more do you want to know? Well, why is a dragon working as a cook? Well, I forgot. How can you forget that? I guess it wasn't so important. That doesn't seem so. How would you know when I have forgotten? Because you're a dragon. Correct. And also a cook. Well, of course. What's the problem? The problem is that you forgot. Friendship. Chit-chat. Restaurant Wisteria Pepper Beef Stew. Let's do pepper. Before I forget what its significance is. You can never put in too much pepper. So, it's the right amount no matter how much you put in. I want to say yeah. Okay. Prickly vines of the village. The prickly vines of the village. Yes, just in case you know something. Well, I don't know much about the prickly vine. I just feel the malice filled in it. Malice? Prickly vines devoted to destroying houses? It's so unnatural. If it's not someone's malice, what would it be? Is there someone who would do such a terrible thing? I don't know. Wow. I'm not sure. I don't know anything. You're hiding something. You and your grease-stained apron. You're hiding something from me. How about searching through the witch's house at least? Okay, sure. Well, what are you selling? Whoa. Cancel. I got one free meal, and that's it. Yeah, sword. Do we ask? Well, there's only 2 people to ask. So I guess Rubrum. Hello. Granny taught me about it, Ellie. Do you enjoy tea too? I love tea. Any interesting stories? Personal stories. Oh, no. I guess we're done with personal stories for Rubrum. Spider? Playing with sand hopscotch. Oh yes, the spider. Let's get rid of it. I once went to Green Forest Depths without telling Granny. I've heard a strange rattling noise said to be made by spiders. I hate spiders. Hint added, rubrum. J? Remind me to press J. The prickly vine in the village is not so good. Not so good. It's bitter, spicy, and not tasty. It also smells fishy. You ate it? Yes, I made tea with it. I removed the thorns, dried the vine under the sun, and roasted it. It was much work. I guess you drink everything as tea. There are so many delicious tea ingredients in the forest. I like bush apple because it's sweet, and Granny says the birdflower tea smells good. I'll also make some delicious tea for you, Ellie. Okay, I'll look forward to it. Oh, I remembered. It tasted similar to that thing. It tasted similar to white prickly vine and little honey pumpkin in the forest. You tried that too? White prickly vine has good scent. If it tastes similar, can you see it as similar breed? Thanks. That's probably a useful piece of intel. Alright, come over for some tea next time. This kid just feeds you, cursed vine tea. No one's supervising this kid. Goodbye. Good kid. Pet. Would it be rude to pet people if they're animals? The village chief has controlled the sharing of information in the village for generations. Do you have something to say? Oh, personal stories? Baking pies is my hobby. Well, actually, it's more of a habit than a hobby. I want to bake pies again. Have you always liked cooking? Only with consent. Jaku, can I pet you? If Rubrum doesn't let me pet him, can I pet you? Not really. My mother baked the most wonderful pies. Since I wanted more, I watched over her shoulder and copied her. That's probably how it started. I've eaten 3 fruitcakes Dad baked in one go, too. In one go? Jaku said no. Rubrum has grown a lot before I notice, and become a little pie glutton, too. Maybe Rubrum will learn to bake pies someday, too. Aw. So she likes to bake pies. What do you want to talk to Enid about? Wisteria, tea, village chief, and food. I guess we'll start from the top. Though it's a small village, it's got everything we need. I've lived here for a long time. Can I keep talking? Don't forget to eat well. Only once. Right, prickly vines of the village. When they first appeared, we tried very hard to get rid of them. I tried an axe and also set them on fire, but it was useless. No matter what we did, they regenerated in no time. What resembles the white prickly vines? That resembles the... Exactly, the white prickly vines disappear when there is a full moon, while these vines don't. As strong as white prickly vines, but not afraid of moonlight. That's strange. We thought so too. I believe it is the providence of nature that if there are strengths, there are also weaknesses. This is all I know. I'm sorry I couldn't be much help. It's okay. You already are a great help. Alright, I think I've asked everyone. Try to summarize what you've heard. Enid said it had similar characteristics as white prickly vine. Rubrum said it smells like little honey pumpkin. And it's probably also similar to the little honey pumpkin. Look at that, no space. Arden didn't tell me anything in particular. He said it was someone's malice. Seeing a prickly vine that can destroy and get rid of a house is enough to make you think so. It seems that Arden thinks it is the witch's work. I think it's whoever cursed Arya. Witch's curse in a world like today? That's an old-fashioned way of thinking. You wouldn't think so if he's been to Lucerne or two. But the witches of the old days are still alive. Let's find the culprit later and think about Kyla's house for now. Let's also go look through the witch's house, like Arden said. I think I might have seen something related to the prickly vine on the witch's bookshelf, on the first floor. Got it. Wait, J. Would it be this one? E? Journal? There was something about... Oh, use the broom. How'd I use the broom? Do I have a recipe? I don't. How do I use the broom? Control? It's equipped. She looks so derpy with it. Look at your little lopsided eyes. I love it. Boost? Boost. You go faster. Whee! Okay, it does. Oh, is it gonna break? Is it gonna break? I'm scared that it's gonna break. Because it's had slower than I expected, yeah. And it looked kind of, it looks silly. It makes her look even sillier. Because she's not lopsided like this, you know? Okay. Oh, their flowers aren't blooming. Well, I tried. I can't go that way. He doesn't want to go that way. Is this where Rubrum was? Yeah. Will it break if I use it? How do I repair it? What's wrong with this? Looks like we need to dig a grave for your 12th broom. Not that bad. I only knocked a bit of durability off it. I barely rode it too. Well, what can you expect from a free gift? I think there was a good workbench at the workplace. I can fix it there. Oh! All I need is a branch or a mud. A mud. Did I get ingredients? I think I did. We can just sprint. Now she looks lopsided when she sprints. That was quick. I broke it immediately. Okay. Bookshelf first. Investigate. I just need another book on prickly vines. I can't read anymore. I can't finish reading this today. Why not? Finish reading it. Much time has passed. Reading is killing me. Who would get rid of the prickly vines if I die? People don't die just because they read a book for a long time. I mean, Arya's daughter might die. Look! It looks like there's more than 1,000 pages. Anyone would die after reading this. Oh my goodness. There's a book. We went to the bookstore yesterday, and there's this book that's like super thick. And like, it had merch, right? Cool merch. The merch looked cool. But I don't want to read the book. So I just bought the merch. It's like a pin. It looks really cool. So I bought the pin. And if anybody notices or recognizes it, and they're like, oh, you're a fan of this book? I'll just be like, yeah. It just looks cool. Anyone would die after reading this. What about the book? You're not going to read anymore? Easy on me. I'll throw up if I read one more word. But I think you've almost reached some important details. What? Really? Where? The first dew of spring, a red moon butterfly, the fourth dawn of summer. It's not like we're going to make this, just summarize it. Mix well and add the desired plant seeds to make a new plant. It's a method to combine the plant's characteristics. The prickly vines in the village were a combination created in this way. It seems so. From the information we gathered, it seems to be a combination of little honey pumpkin and white prickly vine. Then now... Wait, why is this book here? Someone's malice? But, of course, that book is not uncommon. It is a book that any witch who is interested in plants would have. Correct. It's merely a possibility. I mean, both of them. But, there's a more urgent matter. What is it? Removing prickly vines. To look through Kyla's house again. First we fix the broom. I have a lot of... I don't have any mud, but I have a lot of sticks. Oh. Maybe I'll need more than that. Prepare the broom. Ta-da! And then I may as well put this in. Yes. Good. Now I can use the roaster. Make more potions. What does it do? Burned pumpkin terrier fur. I can burn their fur? I have some of that in here. Let me put these away first. Cute. Switch inventories to this one. I only have 3? Those little rascals are hard to wrangle. I need 4. Okay, fine. Put this away. This away. Put this away. This. There's probably a broom in there. We haven't even checked. Let's save. I may be playing this, but my mind is on Overwatch. You! Come here. Oh, I can't. Oh, it's gone. Overwatch will come later. Yeah. We're going to the village, right? I have another prickly vine potion, like... Investigate. It definitely looks like a prickly vine and has the color of a little honey pumpkin. And that means the villagers couldn't get rid of this prickly vine because you can't get rid of it unless you destroy the core. Just like little honey pumpkin. You can get rid of the prickly vines if you find their core. Since the plant, the prickly vine, and the core must be connected in some way. Look over there! The prickly vines are spreading outside of the village. We can find the core if we follow that. I thought if you like touch it, it starts to glow, the core. But how do you intend to get rid of the core? The moon's power should weaken the core since it's like the white prickly vine. Is it moon oil again? Where are you gonna get phoenix feather? Oh, we have a moonflower, but phoenix feather is the problem. Let's just go buy another train ticket. I don't have that much money. What do we do? Will Diane sell it? They would sell it for a high price, or not carry it. I wonder if there's another potion with the power of the moon. Speaking of the moon, you picked up a note last time, didn't you? The note written in ancient witch language. Now that I think about it, it looked like a recipe. How about decoding it first? Good idea. Let's decode that first. And it would be making moons what do you call it? Potion to remove the prickly vine core. I suppose Diane can read it. Or one would know if one didn't fall asleep in class like you. I didn't fall asleep either. The moon and gibberish. Keyword gained. I wonder if there's anyone who can decipher the ancient witch language written in the note. Follow the path. Outside of the village? Okay. Oh. Is it going to the... So it stopped. Oh, we're here. This way? It kind of splits up. It kind of splits up. I'm gonna lose all my stamina. Let's ride the broom. This way? Oh, more. Have we been this way? It keeps going up. The prickly vines have gone all the way up there, blocking the path. There has to be a way to get across. Get closer and take a look. This way? Oh, we haven't been this way. Ooh. I can't get in! It's blocked! It's so dark though. Investigate. If only this one were fine like the one next to it, I would be able to cross it. It's withered, so find a way to revive it. The nutrition. You really don't know, it's okay to ask others. A way to make it grow. Withered bean sprout. Okay, let's go talk to... I want that! Have I been up this way? Is this the way to the tree? It is. Okay. What if I made another sunlight thing to get more of those flowers? Is this the way? No, it's not. I can go super fast now. I have a lot of wood branches to repair this. Oh my goodness. Really hard to control though. Oh, drift! Die! Oh, she's not here! Who do I ask? Just slap a stick to your stick. Yeah. That's how you fix sticks, right? No. Trying to not draw that. Why not? If you run out of stamina, just hop onto your room. Well, who's Diane? She's the one that... Ugh, I have to go to bed. Everyone's eating. Hey. Hey. Welcome. Soup is good today. I don't have anything. Wait, I do! Moon and gibberish. I don't know about that story. Never mind. Oh wait, the withered bean sprout. Another one. I have to ask a bitch. I have to ask. Arden. Not Arden. I have to ask Diane. I was like, who? Names? Everybody's names are starting to blur together. Whoops. I guess I gotta go to bed. Let me use up all of my stamina. My goodness. This poor broom is already like breaking. Where does this go? Because there was this way. Right? It goes south too. Is there another one? And then I can't go deeper in. Wouldn't the vines be thicker where the core is? Hey. Oh my goodness. Can I not? Guess not. Off to bed we go. Save. And then keep it. Oh, right, the cat. Village Bulletin. New side quests will be added each morning to the Village Bulletin. If you're at loose ends, have a look to see what the villagers need. Even a small matter can become a grand adventure in Ellie's company. Got it. There's a cat. Did you see that? I should repair my broom. I saw you. I know I need to talk to you, but my broom is suffering. This is all I need, right? Oh, I need way more than that. Let's just have... I have a big one. Wouldn't that repair it? Whoa. That's a lot. Okay, that's plenty. That'll last us the day. Hi, Evan. Diane. Do you have any personal stories? I like it because it's peaceful here. It makes me want to just come here. Do you go to other witches' houses? I do. I think I normally go to 3 or 4 places a day. Wow, it must be hard for you. Other witches' houses are battlefields. You must be fast and accurate in handling the orders that are rushing in. It must be tiring. Wah. You think they'd automate this in some way? Little familiars? Stick be stickier. Slap a giant stick on my broom. There you go, it's fixed. Actual lunch now? What are you having for lunch? School for Witches. And of course, I graduated from the School for Witches as well. When I was in school, I dreamed about graduation. Now I just want to turn back time. Same. Okay, the withered bean sprout. I don't know about that story. Ah, who would know? Maybe Arya? The moon and gibberish. Wait, I forgot the unreadable memo. It's in my thing. It's in my thing. It's in my chest. You met Diane. I had a feeling you would like her. Oh. Run, 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 run. The moon and gibberish. Can you read what's written on this note? Note? Let's see. This is ancient witch language. Can you read it? I've forgotten everything I learned at school. See? You're the only one who fell asleep in class. What does it say? Moons. Moons. I can only read up to this. What? I forgot everything because it's been a while since I've learned it, and I haven't used it either. Oh. That's because Diane graduated a long time ago. What's your excuse? It hasn't been that long since I graduated either. Then, is there any way to decode what the ancient witch... Is there any way to decode the ancient witch language? Of course there is a way. Really? Ancient witch language is definitely a subject you learn in school, so there must be knowledge on the ancient witch language in your head. You lack not the knowledge, but the intelligence to use it. That hurts a little. Truth hurts. That's why I recommend the Enhanced Intellect Potion. Enhanced Intellect Potion raises your level of intelligence, like memory, deduction, and language. Deciphering ancient witch language will be easy with better memory and deduction. Sounds like a drug peddler. This is real! I only use the recipes approved by the Witch Potion Association. Careful though, long-term use can cause minor sequela? Google sequela. Sequela. A condition which is the consequence of a previous disease or injury. Okay. I have to Google words I don't know or can't pronounce. Such as headache, vomiting, and intellectual decline. Uh-oh. They don't sound minor. Don't worry, because there will be no problem at all if you use it once or twice only. I'll add the recipe for Enhanced Intellect Potion. Feel free to purchase it if you need it. Do you have any questions? Chop. Ranking of Encyclopedia? Be sure to let me know if you get your ranking Ooh. Purchase. I have 50! I thought I had 5. Yes. Nutrition potion. I need that. Yes. Twinkle Twinkle juice? I haven't even looked at her stuff. My ability to pronounce things has been plummeting. Wow. Time to do some... Ooh, brooms. Time to do some practicing. Recipe for the earmuff potion. Twinkle Twinkle juice, used for its light. It has the side effect of making your body glow with light should you drink it. Okay. Will it be at the... Will it be here? Oh. A flyer. Dish is cooked from quality ingredients and generously seasoned with pepper. Drop by Arden's restaurant and treat yourself to a delicious meal after a long day of work. Find the establishment right to the south of Wisteria's fountain. Well, for someone so gruff, he sure takes running it seriously. Still, with all the work we've got here, we'll probably need the food he's talking about. What's this about never skimping on pepper? Isn't that just an ingredient? Guess we'll just have to go ask him. To the owner of the witch's house. With your activities resuming in full, we wish to offer our support. Starting tomorrow, a Luna coin pouch trading chest will be installed in your garden. Place any surplus collected items or materials within. For every 10 items deposited, you'll receive 1 Luna coin pouch. We hope this will be of service to you. The Witch's Catalog will continue to assist you wholeheartedly. Okay. The Witch's Catalog department said that they would install a Luna coin pouch trading chest. That will give me some easy Luna coins. You should make honest money, young lady. I'll make use of the chest then. Shower gold coins on me! Okay, let's go see. Where do I get my stuff? Is it gonna be the next day? Um. I love that you just like pinch their cheeks to get their fur. That's such a cute thing. Make illegal money. No. This is a business. Where from? Chit-chat, I guess. Oh. Playing with sand. And I made such a huge sandcastle. I'm a sandcastle artisan. Do you know anything about this? It was more shriveled than lengthy. Granny said that meant they were withered. They can grow again with good nutrition. I know what it needs, but... Arden's ingredient bag. I lost the pouch needed for cooking. If you find it, please return it to me. Got it. A quest! Control the string and blah 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 blah. Tea. The village was once famous for its tea. I've gotten into the habit of having tea. Oh. Does she sell anything? Brew room sells tea. Do I have to wait the next day to get my stuff? Whoa. Hello. I'm so broke. You know how I got my money? By shaking trees. Let's go shake some trees for money. Or make potions, like a real witch. It's candies? It's candies for... Yeah, you have to choose if you want... You want to sell it or... If you want to sell it or... For Luna coins or gold coins. That's your OG money? I opened a bag from a tree. I'm using up all my energy now. I gotta grab ingredients. Let me through. Whoops, my bad. And cross this. Ah. I guess the mango isn't really what I need. What I need is these ones. Cool. Maple herb. I was like, what? I can ignore the mango. I think that's just for food. Uh-oh. Running out of energy. Uh-oh. What is that? And eat these, right? That's what they're for, right? Just eat 1,000,000 mangoes? Actually, I would love that. What is this for? Grabbed a bunch of herbs. And then I wonder if I can put this in my book. No. It looks special, doesn't it? It is special. There's something special about it. Ah. Gleaming. Indeed. It's this way. Nothing. I would need chalk too, wouldn't I? Man, my energy is gone. Hmm? Is this something right here? Whoa. What am I hearing? I'm hearing like something talking. What? It passed. What is that? First encounter with a Ritor ring? I got it from some tiny guy that resembled an acorn. I suppose that was a Rittering. Rittering? They are a rare sight. Little about them is known, not even to witches. Now I remember. There was this kid, Ralph, was it? Who was always wearing a couple of clover-shaped brooches. Those were apparently not usual clovers. They were made of Rittering gifts. Didn't expect you to be so observant. After all, Ralph was unique. He always carried a lot of collections with him. He even boasted about it, saying that those items would bring him good luck. Maybe they would. Some believe that Rittering's gifts bring good luck. Really? Those people must want to collect them then. Sure. For them, Rittering's gifts are collectibles. Mysterious Rittering live withdrawn lives in the forest. Little about them is known to the outside world. They offer a clover-shaped gift to anyone who finds them, which is sometimes elaborately wrapped. What did I get? I got a clover, I think. This thing is bothering me. Stop. Oh, it's a different color. Whoa. I wish I could catch it. Oh, this one too. Now this one is yellow. Can I draw it? Nope. Man. I'm gonna shake that tree. What's this? Rare ingredient. Oh, it gave it to me already. I have this already. Certain plants and animals are highly sensitive, so you must approach carefully. Press the tiptoe button. Move more quietly, but also more slowly. Whoa. Yoink! Does it cost me anything? It does! I have a steak. Yoink! Oh, it's over for you. What do I catch with it? I have to wait till nighttime, don't I? Yoink! There was a blue one too, though. Wasn't there? I missed it. Ah. I missed the blue one. I didn't know it was already in my inventory. I thought I had to wait the next day. Well, for now, let's make some potions. I should have grabbed all the other stuff too then. Huh. Test this. Hopefully time doesn't pass while I'm in here. Is it passing? I can't tell. I think it's candies that sell. I should have checked how much they were. Well, time is passing. Be quick. Ah! Ah! How do I swap?